Hello, this is Tara Warwick, and I'm going to go through with you today 3 steps for setting up your work area. These are some things that I have been doing over the past couple weeks as I'm getting ready to do more telehealth services, so I thought they might be some things that you guys might find helpful. The first thing is to determine your location, where you're wanting to set up your home office. Some people might have a separate office area that they can use, some people might not. You want to make sure that the location is in an area that can be somewhat quiet, or you can at least close it off for it to be quiet when you are working. Some place where you feel comfortable working, because you are going to be there a lot more than what you ever have in the past. Trying to use any kind of natural lighting is going to be the best for your video, for them to see you on the other side. So trying to find an area, if possible, with some natural lighting. If not, using some lamps in the background and just kind of seeing from the other end how how they're seeing you to make sure that you're clear. The other thing was maybe creating some kind of visual that's like a do not disturb, where a lot of us will have children at home that we're also working with them on their schoolwork. And so having some clear, a physical visual that says, do not disturb me right now. And then on the other side, if you're just working on your computer, when they can come and attend to you, then you can say, okay, open for discussion, or however that might be. I'm going to talk in another video about scheduling, but those are just some things to think about when you're determining your location. The second part is setting up your actual workstation. So really thinking, and I've had to be really well aware of this over the last 2 weeks, doing so much virtual now. I'm on my computer all day long. I really have to remember the 90-90-90 rule, so that way you can prevent your back hurting. And so looking at making sure you're upright. So where your eyes are at 90 degrees, so you can tell on the right hand side your elbows are at 90 and your knees and your ankles are at 90. So you can see on the left side, making sure you're not leaning over a lot, and that's what I find myself doing. So I'm really having to work on making sure that I'm sitting up and I'm taking frequent breaks and I'm at a good posture, because sometimes you get really focused on what you're doing and before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, my back is killing me and I've got to readjust. So looking at to make sure that your office is set up using those 90-90-90 rules, it will help you just be healthier over time. Also making sure that your feet can touch the ground. I'm short, and so I have to have something under my feet, because in order for me to be at my desk, because it's higher up, my chair has to be higher up, and so my feet are not on the ground, and so they're just dangling a lot, which is uncomfortable. So I have to have something under my feet, so that way I can follow that 90-90-90 rule. The other thing is with the chair, you see how their chairs are in their back a little bit differently. And to support their back, if you don't have a chair like this, can you put some kind of pillow or some kind of back support to help your back stay aligned? Another thing when you're setting up your computer is consider doing dual monitors. I had to learn how to do this too. I have a laptop. And I set up my laptop where I can play it through my monitor. So I didn't need to buy another computer. I already had a monitor. So I've got my laptop on one side and I have my monitor that's larger on the other side, because I'm looking at it so much. I needed to be able to have a larger screen area. So you could do either dual monitors or just a larger monitor where you can do more split screen kinds of things, just so that way you can see more what's going on. So consider doing something like that with dual monitors. It takes a while to get used to using the dual monitors, but it can be really helpful. So like in this picture, you can see like on the right hand side, maybe he will do his documentation on that side. So he might have you could have your students' documentation on there that you're typing notes about the session. And then on the left hand side, you could have the camera where you can see what's happening. So you can do that when you're using dual screens or also split screens on your monitor. Also consider using a webcam. I have gotten a webcam too, and I'm using that with most of my sessions. They're fairly, you can get pretty inexpensive ones now that are like, $20, and it hooks up, and now you're using your platform through your web camera versus your camera on your computer. So the one that I got I really like, and I can take it off. I use Velcro, and so I Velcroed it on my monitor at the top, and I can take it off and I can show them something if I need to. So if I need to demonstrate moving around or whatever, I can take it off and they can see different views. So that's kind of nice about that web camera. They just get a better view of what's going on. So consider maybe getting something like that. The other thing is making sure your audio sounds really good. So a lot of people choose to use headsets so that way they can hear better. So just consider something like that too. Some other things to think about are these are just things that I've been trying to do and I've struggled with, and I'm making sure that I'm getting them for my next week. I want to make sure all the supplies are within a reach for me. So if I need, paper, scissors, if I need a dry erase board, it's all right there to show, to either document or to show the student something. Making sure there's minimal distractions behind you, and this is something I'm going to have to work on next week because I've got all these pictures behind me of just things from my husband's office that I took over. So it's like football pictures behind me. So I'm going to take those down and make sure there's little distractions going on because so that way they can see me and not paying attention to everything that's going on behind me. Making sure that if you have room, like I was in a session the other day and I needed to demonstrate a movement for a kid, and I didn't have a whole lot of room behind me. So I'm going to have to make sure that I maybe move my desk a little bit so I have a little bit more room if I need to move or if I just need to stand up and take a break sometimes. I've also noticed I'm not moving around as much during the day. As therapists, we're used to like going and going all the time. And so I'm not moving much, so I'm colder, and I'm cold-natured anyway, but having something close by that you can just throw on a sweater here and there. I just leave one in there now, so when I go in there, I have it, and I don't have to leave my session and come back and all that. The other thing I've noticed is I've had to have a little bit more extra desk space. So if you can limit what you have on top of your desk and store it away, and having that extra desk space to move stuff around throughout the session can be really helpful. Another thing is making sure that you are enjoying this room. Like, you're going to be there a lot. And so, like I said, I took over my husband's office, so I've kind of had to girlify it a little bit with things that I like. So I got a few little decor things to put on there that make me happy. And it makes me, want to be there more. So I got a little different pencil holders, just little things that kind of make it feel more warm to me. I put a lamp in there that is kind of warm, and there are different smells, decor, anything like that just makes you want to be there because you're going to be there a lot. So I found that after I kind of did some of that in the office, I'm like, okay, I kind of like being here now more because it feels more like me, and it feels it just has my personality to it. So that helps because, like I said, as therapists, we're used to moving around so much, and we're going to be having to sit still. So you want to make that area something that you enjoy. Another big thing, and we'll talk more about this later as we talk about like your actual sessions, but I would highly recommend that you set up your computer now, like really organize. And I say this because my computer was not organized, and it still needs a lot of work, but I found when I was doing these sessions that when I wasn't organized, it was not nearly as effective. And, if you don't have your stuff right there, there's that delay. You lose the attention from the student on the other line, and you don't have as much time because your sessions might be a little shorter, and they're just looking at you like, okay, what are we going to do? So what I did is I created a folder of bookmarks. I use a Mac and I have Safari, and so I created all the links, the quick links that I want to go to, my telehealth resources and bookmarks, so that way it's right there, it's easy for me to find, and that has helped a ton. The other thing that I've done is I've created a desktop folder for support based on the needs. So I have a telehealth folder, and then based on if it's like a social support, sensory support, visual motor, whatever, it's right there. Also, one for each student. I mean, make sure everything is confidential. I'm not putting confidential information on there on my desktop, but it might just be, this is for Sarah, and in Sarah's folder, I would just quickly put in there the things that that I'm working with her on, and then also the documentation system. So if I have an ongoing note, it's there in her folder. It's easy for me to find, to where there's no there's no lag in that time, because like I said earlier, when there's more lag, when you're not organized this way, you lose the attention on the other side, and there's already going to be more delay anyway, just because it's over the computer. So when there's more delay, it just makes the time less efficient, and it loses the interaction with the student. So those are some things upcoming I'm going to talk about, and some other upcoming trainings on tips for scheduling, tips for having your first session, and ways, just some more resources and things to think about as you guys are working on getting all your telehealth set up. So thank you, and good luck with getting started, and let me know if you have any questions.